Is it Armored Core already a dedicated PvP game? Only Armored Core 5 and Verdict Day were. PvP was actually the main focus for the game. The other Armored Core games had a lot of PvP thoughts built into it, but it was not the focus. Like, it was still PvE game mainly, and PvP after, which 6, it looks like it might be that too, like PvE first and then PvP second. Unfortunately, because even if Armored Core Verdict Day was even if Verdict Day was PvP first, PvE second, the PvE was still pretty good. Oh, the host got down. You wish IC6 was like Verdict Day? It's funny because Verdict Day and Armored Core 5 were not as well received by the community, and to be quite frankly, they were also harder games than the one that came previously, Armored Core 4. Japanese players, though, they loved Armored Core 5, so I don't know. To be fair, though, if I'm being honest, like I think that's one of the qualities of From Software, the fact that every game that they make, even if it's like the same genre or whatever, like Dark Souls 1 to Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 2 to Dark Souls 3, they always change things up. It's always different. It's not like, you know, Assassin's Creed or Call of Duty where it's the exact same formula to a T where there's barely any changes. You know, they really do change things up to the point where they really are played different. So I think ultimately that's a quality, have things like this, and I wouldn't want it the other way around. But yeah, about the Armored Core is the same thing. All the Armored Core games are like distinct between one another. Like, they all play different and they're all good. Insane fucking wave of piss desync. You know what? Oh! Let's get out of there. AC6 may have less replay value if it's PvE focused. Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna have PvP, don't get me wrong. It's just that my fear about Armored Core 6 right now is it's not that it's going to be a bad game. It's going to be a good game, both PvE and PvP, and PvP is confirmed, and it's also confirmed that the PvE will be single player. My fear is that it's not going to have much replayability, because once you beat the PvE, there's a hard mode usually, and then you do the hard mode. So you beat the game twice. What after? Well, you get the PvP, but if the PvP is anything like, say, Armored Core 4, well, it's just like, you know, you enter a lobby and then you do either 1v1s, 2v2s, and 4v4s. That's it. It's like very, very basic and bare bones. Whereas if you compare that to Armored Core 5 and Armored Core Verdict Day, in Armored Core Verdict Day and 5, you have territories where you set up defenses on your territory. There's an attacking team and a defending team. Once you, if you lose or win the game, you get the territory over the other team. So if you have no territory to defend, well, you need to go and attack territories. And there's a lot more intricate stuff going on in Armored Core Verdict Day than the other Armored Core games when PvP is concerned. Honestly, the Armored Core Verdict Day PvP could have easily been an esport. Like, it has everything an esport game has. The only thing it doesn't have is popularity, or it didn't have, I should say, was popularity. It was not popular, it was too niche. But if you watch like a lot of the Japanese players, because Armored Core was always more of a Japanese popular title, like it was more popular in Japan, and that's where all the sales kind of went. Like in Japan, like players were cracked at it. Like it was very competitive. Like the Japanese scene for Armored Core games was very, very competitive and pretty active too. So I don't think they'll be trying to I don't think they'll be trying to dismiss their Japanese audience that cares about the competitive aspect of it, because it definitely does exist. Like Armored Core has an audience, fairly big audience in Japan of competitive players that play Armored Core games competitively. It's just that the rest of the world is going to get a taste of that, hopefully. And to be fair, like Armored Core 6 is going to be the biggest Armored Core game ever created. Not only because it's benefiting, oh, I just saw them, from the success of Elden Ring, which is a huge deal. So everyone is aware of it, and it had like a tremendous, oh wow, he fell off. It had a tremendous trailer launch. Like it was pretty successful, I would say. Like there's millions of people that have seen the trailer, which has never happened before for an Armored Core game. Aside from that, like one of the biggest thing that no one's talking about, why Armored Core 6 is going to be the biggest Armored Core game to date, it's not just the player base, but I remember clearly back in 2016 on an E3 show floor, Miyazaki got interviewed and was talking about the game. He was asked about the games that were in development, and at the time he slipped up. He was not supposed to say this, but I remember clearly this was in an interview. Miyazaki was talking about an Armored Core game was in early development. So 2016, pre-production started for Armored Core 6. That's huge. Like, think about it. 2016 to 2023, that is a long time. That's a very long time. If we say, like, let's see here. That's like, whew, that's like 7 years. It's going to be like 7 years for the game come out. But to be fair, like, I bet the bulk of their team was working on Elden Ring the entire time, because Elden Ring is a much more ambitious project. But if you consider that every Armored Core games prior to Armored Core 6 was launched within a year of each other, like, they used to pump these Armored Core games like hot bread. You know, like garlic bread. Like, once a year, a new Armored Core game. Then, like, for the first time, you have, like, a 7-year development time for an Armored Core game. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. And we have not had an Armored Core game for 9 to 10 years as well. So, if you consider all of these things, like, Armored Core 6 has everything going on for it to be more successful than ever before, like all of the other Armored Core games, and to be better gameplay-wise. They had more development time. They've benefited from the success of their other titles. You know, they have everything for them for this game. Now, the only thing, like I said, that has me not worried, but that would excite me more is if I knew for sure that the PvP was just not going to be just, you know, a PvP lobby with either 1v1, 2v2s, or 4v4. If I knew for a fact that this was not going to be the only PvP thing in the game, I would be even more excited. The host booked it. Can't wait to see the gameplay. Oh, I'm not worried about the gameplay. Gameplay is going to be fantastic. All Armored Core games, even each reboot, even if they play differently from one another, they're all like extremely skill-based and really good. They're all like extremely good games, skill-based. Pretty good balance if you ask me. Especially if you compare it to Souls games. Can't wait to see gameplay, but to be fair though, if you want to see gameplay, I have some vids on the channel on Armored Core 5. You can expect gameplay to be similar to that. The balance is not always good out of the gate, but to be fair, in a game like Armored Core, I would say it's almost impossible to get like a good balance out of the gate. There's just too many variables. I remember in Armored Core 5 or Verdict Day, like they had like broken ass Gatling guns when the game came out, but they fixed that like shortly after, and the balance was much healthier when they stopped supporting the game. Like there was a meta, of course, but like the meta was extremely varied, and what mattered way more was team tactics, no matter which kind of like build you were rocking. Like in a try-hard team fights, you could have easily won with like 4 quads on the team, 4 sniper lightweight builds, 4 tanks. Like it didn't really matter what you were using. Like how each player played mattered a lot more, and how they were using said build mattered a lot more.